Welcome everyone to the Kids Count Network webinar. I'm going to turn this over now to Kelly Hoffman, our moderator for the day. Kelly, take it away.
Thanks, Debbie. Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on our Kids Count Network webinar. It's about accessing child and family data on the data.census.gov website, which is the new census portal that we'll be accessing for all of our census data. In the past, there have been some webinars regarding the new census portal, but this one is specific to child advocates, so we sort of get our own personalized training. I am I should introduce myself. I'm the Kids Count Director or the Vice President of Data and Strategy at Pennsylvania Partnerships for Children. And our presenter today is Kanin Reese, who is a chief at the Dissemination Outreach Branch within the Center for Enterprise Dissemination. As Debbie said, we're going to review questions at the end of Kanin's presentation, and if you could please put your questions into the chat box, I'll review them at the end. So Kanin, I will pass it over to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you for having me and for calling in. I'm glad that y'all heard about data.census.gov. I'm glad that you know that we're making this change. And change is very difficult, and so we're trying to make this as easy as possible. So hopefully giving you some examples of way in general that you could use the site, and then more specifically. So hopefully you won't see a huge change when those data come out in September. So I'm going to just get started. I'm assuming everyone can see the slide deck. Okay. So just a quick outline. I'm just going to give you a background about why we're doing this, show you where we are. We are a development site. We are not finished. We're done purposely because we want to make sure that people are getting what they really want in a data dissemination site. And we've definitely had experiences where we've built and built and built and released something, and then it's not exactly what people wanted, and then we had to scramble and build things. So what we're trying to do is get ahead of the curve a little bit. And and then I'll give you a live demo and showing you kind of what's next. So just quickly, for the Census Bureau, why we're doing this, our online history, if you can see, Census.gov started in 1994. We've gone all of these different tools, some that you may use or have heard of, the Pop Clock, Data Ferret, American FactFinder 1, American FactFinder 2 in 2011, and then it leads all the way up to the Open API in 2012. So I'm wondering, so from there, people have really enjoyed a lot of these tools. They arose kind of organically based on what people were needing. People needed some quick and easy ways of looking at data, so we have something like Quick Facts. People wanted to be able to have the breadth of the tables, and we have AFF2. But what happened with this is that things became very disjointed in Census.gov. So people would go to the site and they would search for something like maybe, child poverty or something like that, and what they would get would be news releases and methodology pages about certain surveys, but you wouldn't necessarily get the table and the data, and it's because of the fact that it's not all on one platform. So that's what we're trying to do here, is to create something that's all on one platform. So this is this idea of enterprise dissemination, is trying to streamline access to data. We'd like everything available off census.gov and be able to be searchable off census.gov. We also want to take the best of the current tools. We have some great mapping software that's being used by things like Census Business Builder. We have things like my congressional district that people use a lot and then put widgets even on their web pages. We don't want to take away those tools, but we want to take the best and the brightest of those and put it in this platform so that all data, not just the data that are available in these apps, if applicable, could be able to have this kind of functionality. Resources are always an issue, so where we can streamline and eliminate needless excess deliveries to different dissemination platforms, that's what we'd like to do. And then in the end, we'd like to provide greater access to the Census Bureau's API. So this before and after really kind of shows a little bit of a cartoonized, characterized area of what we're trying to do. Before, we had so many different dissemination platforms that then released in all these different modes of dissemination, from maps or tables or individual estimates. But now what we'd like to do is streamline that so that it all goes through one area, through census.gov, and then from there that individual data could then be released through maps or tables or individual estimates. So that's kind of what that's trying to say. Leads me to really how it works, and this is just a high-level look. We're leveraging our Census Data API, which is our application programming interface. One of the big differences between the API and AFF, American FactFinder, the American FactFinder was all table-based. So if you were looking for data for, again, like child poverty, you would look and you would find a table. And you could find a series of tables, but it didn't give you that actual estimate. We definitely had people that had problems finding the actual estimate within, a 500-line table. So the API allows you to not just pull tables, but also pull different variables, streams of variables, also individual estimates. So you're allowed for those things. So what this shows is that everything's centered on the API. And then from there, it'll go through census.gov, which right now it's a working site. So we're working to integrate this new platform with census.gov. But until then, we have our other site, data.census.gov, so that people can start reviewing, start sending us comments, and then in September when those big data releases come out, use the platform. And then back to this picture, the green part is one of the nice special things about the API is that it then allows you that not just are we host the data and we consume the data and it comes out as data.census.gov, but third parties can as well. So people could come in and create their own applications. Lots of different data centers use our API to fuel their dashboards on their websites. And so we want to make that easier and able to do that, and that's through our API. All right, so a quick current snapshot. One thing to always remember is that we do have, it is still developing, so we don't have everything that's available in ASF just yet. We're working to get there, but everything needs to be moved from American FactFinder, migrated over to our Census Data API, and then released through data.census.gov. So we're still working on that, but this is what's available. Most of the tables from ACS are available, American Community Survey. The tables prior to 2010, they've decided to not release it on data.census.gov, but put it in or keep it in the API, and people can pull from there. The checks means that they're available. The dashes mean that they weren't released at that time. So like supplemental estimates started in 2014. I'm sorry, everyone can hear me? The blanks mean that we're still working on that process of migration over. So a lot of the selected population profiles, and then our bigger 5-year products for those iterated and detailed iterations of race, AIAN, ancestry, country of birth, that type of thing, are seen in our 5-year product, the selected population tables, and also the AIAN tables. So we're working on that. So it's important to at least just know that if you can't find something, it may be because it's actually not there and not because it's anything you're doing. And then a few things. I know you're more focused on the ACS, but just to know that the decennial census, we're still working on that for 2010. We have some things like the SF1 file and 113th and 115th congressional detail tables. But we're working on the other ones like the summary file 2 and some of those great iterations from there. And then for a lot of economic data that we're working on having available. So just making sure you're aware. Our upcoming milestones that we're working on, as you've heard, that we've had American FactFinder will no longer be releasing data. Actually, last week was the last release of our population estimates on AFF. So we're not going to be releasing new data from there, but we will be releasing those data on data.census.gov. So we're starting to have our first releases of non-employer and public sector, some smaller economic surveys. And then this fall is where you'll really notice it and feel it. In 2018, the ACS 1 year will be available in September. About a week before that release is when our 2017 economic census data will start going out. It's a rolling release, but that's the very first is in September. And then in 2018, 5-year in December is when we'll be releasing that. So the same schedule, but not through AFF, but through data.census.gov. So really the point is to make sure that y'all are prepared and ready for things. We did talk about that everything's not available on the site, and we're working hard to get there. We hope to have everything migrated over by the end of this year. But we've given ourselves until that June 2020 before we would officially shut down American FactFinder. It gives us some time, like we talked about, to migrate the data, but then it also gives you a chance if there's some functionality or some features that we don't have available, and it's easier to use in AFF, that you're able to go and pull that data there. But like I said, beginning in September, the new data will only be in data.census.gov. All right, so I'm going to switch over and pull up the live site. And if I'm correct, Debbie, you're okay with me clicking the share?
I am, and also, Kanin, the operator tells me that the static we're getting is coming from your line. So if you can easily switch to a landline if you're using a cell phone or a headset, that would improve the sound quality.
Sure. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Sure,
we can all wait a moment while you do that, and then you can go ahead and share your screen and show us what you need to show us. Do you need the number again?
Sure. Give me 1 second. I have to pull up the number. Okay. Just 1 second. Let me pop off, and I'll call back in right now.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for your patience. Kanin will be back on, and clearly it was her phone, because at least on my phone the static is now gone. Okay, you should be unmuted now. Try it again.
Okay. Is it better now?
I think it's better. We're getting a somewhat different static, but if you're using
I'm on the landline, so I don't.
Okay, and you're not using a speakerphone for it. Okay, let's go with this. Go right ahead.
And just share. Click share. Okay. All right, so hopefully everyone can see my screen on data.census.gov. Wanted to show you a few things, a few ways of just generally navigating the site, and then we can pull up some specific examples. I know mainly y'all work with individual table IDs, and to show you how to do that. But there's two ways to start searching. So the first is just searching through a single search bar, which I'll show you a couple of examples, and then through the advanced search, which is more of a faceted filter, those drop downs by topics and geographies that you may be more familiar with because of American FactFinder. So I'm going to start off doing children in Baltimore, Maryland. From there, we pull up a table, and this is our all results page, and it gives you a look of by tables, but also you can go down and select some maps and also some web pages, individual web pages. Trying to get to you the breadth of the data that we have and the different forms of data that we have. One thing to show is right here. It's not specific to children, but it's our geographic profile that gives you a nice overview of the different of a different area and those kind of some of our key statistics, and then you could go by and it's just a more of a visual representation. But going backwards to the original all results page, you can click on this first table, which is it's a subject table, but it's SO901, which is our a basic the subject table for children, and it gives you results from there. A few things to note is that some of our labels are quite long, and so you're able to expand them. Also, if something has an ellipses, you can hover over it, and it'll tell you what that label is to make sure everyone's aware. Our tables are quite long, and there's only so much real estate on the page. And so to give you that indication that there's more data to come, it's kind of a grayed out or a kind of blurred out on the side and at the bottom to show you that you can scroll down and find those point estimates that you're looking for. So wanted to show you that. We can also go back, and if you're interested in going back clearing, you can just click on this logo. As I understand, C17001 is a table that you'll use quite often, and I'm just going to put all counties in Maryland. Excuse me. And then from here, the same thing. You can go in, click on this table. If you look to the left-hand side, this gives you that first initial C17001 table, but then it also gives you the A through I components, those that iterated by the different races estimates. So those are available to click and to view individually, or you can stay here. You can also do a download, which is we have a multiple download option. So if you go through and you scroll a couple of things, welcome to do that. Go back to selected, download selected. You're welcome to switch and move things around, decide which ones you want to use, and then download from there. Creates and prepares the file, and then you open files up, and from there you can have this CSV file that's able to be run through the computer, or you could also manipulate it from there. There's that. A few other things I wanted to show you too is I understood you were had questions about GCT, so geographic comparison tables. They won't be producing anymore, but the data are already there, so I'm going to show you how you could find those things. So you could do, since most of the GCTs were percentages, we could do DPO3, which is the data profile for the economic characteristics. And again, I'll just do all counties in Maryland. There. That's your table, and you can pull that one up and see the counties from there. You're also able to go in. We could customize the table that's doing, you could add geographies, pull that up, change years. You could switch to 5-year. You can you can also hide and filter if you wanted to change what's available. Right now the margins of error, it looks like those are off. We could definitely show them. And there's also a download, print, and share for the individual tables, and then also the view data notes that are available. Those are there. If you restore the table layout, those estimates are there. If you scroll, it is a DPO3, so it's quite long. But if you go down to the poverty estimates, there's poverty of under children. So right here in this highlighted row right here, it gives you across the board of all of the counties, the percent of under 18, the poverty estimate for all counties. So it's just a different way of looking at the GCTs as they're available. Hold on one second. Nope, everyone still hear me? I'm back in the conference.
We're ready.
Okay, making sure. Okay, thank you. Then I wanted to show you some advanced search. Advanced search is great for especially your more complex searches. You, of course, could do some basic searches just using these drop downs if you're more comfortable doing that. But I'll show you ways of doing more advanced. So choosing your year, 2017. If you wanted to do a topic, and it's going to pull the age by language spoken at home. So go to age, and then also language spoken at home. So go to geography. Geography is a little bit different than I wanted to show you. There's two ways. So some people are very wedded to our summary level codes and are able to and know that 050 is the county. It knows it's the summary level, the code for the summary level of county. But some people don't, but it's here and it's available, and you can find and make sure that when you're looking for place, you're getting 160, which is the most common, but certainly not all of the place level summary levels we have. You can also take it, turn it off, and you're able to look without knowing the summary levels and have more of an exploration. And so we took that off, and I'll show you a way to get to, we can just do, start off looking at place, and then go down to Maryland. And then I'm going to search for Baltimore. You can certainly scroll, or you can type it in if you'd like to be a little faster. Since there's definitely a lot of cities in these states. You can also go back and look for metro. So I was going to pull the metropolitan. There's a lot of different summary levels for metropolitan data. This gives you the basic ones right here. So then you can search by Baltimore. And then the Baltimore, Columbia, and Towson metro area comes up. You can scroll down here, and this search query gives you a chance to kind of look and check and see what it looks like. If you don't, if that's a little hard for you to read, it is for me, you can click on View Query, and it gives you these what we call chips. So it gives you can go in and kind of verify that your search is grabbing what you want it to. So we have age and sex and language spoken at home in Baltimore, Maryland, in the Baltimore metro area, and also for 2017. If you didn't want Baltimore City, Maryland, you can click it off. Make sure you hit the chevron and then view all results. So if you go to this first estimate or this first table, but if you scroll down, B16004 was one of the estimates, or excuse me, one of the tables I saw in your list. You're able to access it that way, check out the estimates from there. Also able to use the mapping features to go in and look at some of the data that we have available through mapping. You can change the estimates. You could also change the specific one if you wanted to look at 5 to 17, speak only English. You could also do language, all counties in Maryland. We'll have those estimates come in. Shows a 5-year, but we want the full coverage, or 1 year, so we'll switch to 5-year. And then from here you can...
Kanin, if you can make sure you're talking into the speaker. People are now having trouble hearing again. Just speak a little louder and speak directly into the speaker.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so that shows you the mapping, but it sounds like most people from this Excel file is given of the main tables that everyone uses. If that is the case within FactFinder, these table IDs don't change and haven't changed with moving over. So you definitely, if you're looking for B14005, you can just go to the search box, B14005, click Enter, pull up your table, and then you're always able to, hold on, I think I had it under the download. And then you're always, the population of 16 and over. So you're always, gosh, what did I just do? You're always able to just type in that table ID and then be able to have it pull up from there. So let me switch back to the slides. And actually, I think I can just show you my, gosh. Oops. I'm here. Sorry, I don't know how I would have closed it, but it doesn't seem to be here. My search results. But I can definitely have a slide deck, so I will show you where we are from here.
Kanin, you can hit the green little icon at the bottom of your screen, the right icon.
Oh, hold on 1 second.
There you go.
Oh gosh, I was pressing on it, it didn't come up. I'm so sorry. Okay. Then from here, I guess. So this is just some slides. We've already gone over this, but at least that you have something that you can reference so that you can go back, showing you the simple search, what's available, the easiest ways to use them. Definitely shows you how to, putting in just your table ID is a great way to do it. If you use things like data profiles, putting a DP there, and from there, then also the single search bar, if you put in, like we said, a topic and then a geography, pulling up that table in the all results page, geography profile if that's something that would help you or of interest. Then also searching by table ID like we talked about. There's two separate ways. You could do the C17001, all counties in Maryland, in the single search bar, or you could go in advanced search, type in C17001 in the box under advanced search, and then use the filters if you'd like to go to all counties in Maryland. So search by table ID, this gives you the results. And then also showing you how to download those multiple tables at once. View a single estimate. We talked about, chose DPO3 for the child poverty estimate in all counties. Change to 5-year to make sure that you get all of the counties available. And then those will be pulled up, and then down here, scroll way down, unfortunately, it's one of the bottom estimates in the very long table. It'll give you the under 18 estimates. Also, we talked about using more complex topics and also your cross topics, and then also geographies, so you're able to pull up 2 topics at once. Choose the year to make sure you get the geography, especially when you're using metros that get redefined a lot, and showing you how to get the metro statistics from there. And then how you can look for just Baltimore City, giving you some idea. And then looking at the query if you'd like to adjust that, and then view all results. And this gives you an idea of where to find. Sometimes you'll need to scroll to find if you want a specific table or not. And then this is how you kind of manipulate the table. We talked about clicking on the chevron, gets you a new table, all the options for that table that you can change. And then here is some of that mapping feature. And then here's just a reminder that we are developing this, so to please bear with us if there's things that you don't like, but your feedback's very important because we take that feedback and that's what we use to develop the new features and the new issues or the migration, the priority of migration. And so please take a look and please provide your comments. And, hopefully you'll see those updates and improvements every couple of months when we release new code base for data.census.gov. But just as a reminder, we will be releasing the new ACS data in September. So this is probably very, very similar to the look and feel that's going to be available in September. So please go ahead and familiarize yourself with the topics, familiarize yourself with the paths to access your data. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to send it to the website.feedback@census.gov, or you're welcome to ask me directly. So here's some information about some more webinars that we have. There's my direct contact information, and also a plug for our release notes and FAQs. If you look over right here, it includes as FAQs. We have about 20 to 25 things that hopefully that might
potentially be part of the questions that you may have if you want to take a look, from download functionality to how to create your own URLs if you're trying to bookmark things. So you might want to take a look and see where we are. If you're interested in more kind of guidance, please, we have some public webinars available. Unfortunately, that API, Census API with the ACS is right now, so you won't be able to see that one, but I think it'll definitely be on and available online. We also have the Census Academy, which is starting to populate it with more and more things on data.census.gov. And this is just a little plug if anyone is always a call out for expert data users to come in and help us with our usability sessions that we perform every 2 months on the site to make sure that we're getting what people want, that it's a customer-driven experience, and seeing where we are from there. So if anyone's interested, you're more than welcome to give us a contact. So from there, I think, Deb, that I think we're ready for questions, right?
Great. Again, if you have any questions, please put them into the chat box. I have a question for you, Kanin. What about being notified of updates? Is there a listserv, or is there some way that we will know when updates have been made?
Absolutely. So we have, if you go to census.gov, they have, and I'll guess I'll need to send it to you, but they have listservs that you can subscribe to census data, and we send those out in every update we send, and we send it right now. It's to about 300,000 different emails. We can also make sure that you're just, this group is added on. We can get your list of emails, and so either way, some people may be getting it because they're already registered.
All right.
Just a reminder, we're delighted to take your questions. You just need to type them in the participant feedback box. And if we need to, we can easily go back into Kanin's screen and she can show us stuff there. And I do apologize for our sound quality problems. Kanin very kindly is doing this webinar from her home to get around the Census firewall. And so I'm sure that's why we have this problem. And hopefully we're still able to hear it. Kelly, I'm turning it to you.
Okay. We have a question from Stephanie Geller, and she asks, can you clarify how to find single-year data for a range of years versus the 5-year data?
Oh, sure. I assume I'm still sharing. Does everyone see the screen?
No, you need to go back into share.
Okay.
We see the last slide.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully you'll see it now.
Looks good.
Yep.
Okay, sounds good. So if you were to just type B17001, the poverty table, it looks like we're having, I don't know if it's my connection or what, but I can go in and check. But I can show you from here. The estimates, you would go into the customize the tables, and you could change years from there. Go to 3-year versus 5-year. Right now it defaults to 1 year for everything because of the timeliness. One of the issues is just when we, and if it's not available for 1 year for a single one, it'll go to 5-year, which is great. But when you choose collections of geographies like all counties, it'll just show 1 year. So you have to be mindful that there's going to be some missing spots there.
I think if you would click the download, and then I think at that point is where you can select multiple years. right? Like, so I think Stephanie's question might be that she wants to see the 1-year data for 2015, 2017, and 2019, or like 2013.
Oh, all at one time. So we're not at, yeah, go ahead.
So I think that's more of what her question is versus seeing the 5-year data.
Okay, so, but is it table-based? Just viewing the table, or was it download?
I think it was viewing the table.
Okay, so you would have to see, you could see the tables one at a time. You could use the 1 year, and then from there it would be just one at a time. The table would be available. That makes sense. We don't have where you can put multiple tables up at one time. There's the reason for that is the metadata issue behind it. The estimates can change, or lines can change. Hopefully I'm getting to your question.
And then if she would want to be able to see it kind of side by side, would downloading allow her to do that then? Because she can select multiple single years?
Yeah, it would give you a way to manipulate to be able to do that, yeah.
Okay. All right, we have a question from Amy. Stephanie said you answered her question.
Okay,
Amy
good. I'm good.
asked if you can talk more on the mapping capabilities. For example, is a user able to change breakouts used? So where it's quartiles versus quintiles when you're looking at the legend, and then also changing some of the legend colors or formats.
So you could do that. We're working on adding that functionality back in. We had, we moved softwares. We were using an Agile software, Angular software, and we moved to the view. And so our first priority was to make sure all the tables were there. So we're just adding that mapping functionality back in to be able to. I just got a message on my phone that there is a problem with our servers at the Bureau. So I'm sorry, that's explaining why I can't get the estimates to come up. So sorry about that. But you should be able to, when you customize the map, we should have right here at this bottom areas where we'll be building in where you can choose your different displays for the quartiles or quintiles. We just don't have it available yet. But hopefully in the next couple of months we should have that built back up for this particular software update that we had.
Amy, does that help? Yep, she was happy. Any other questions? Give a minute to see if anybody submits any more. All right, we have a question from Nikki Thomas. Is there a process that determines which data are displayed first when the census surveys overlap, when it's the 1 year versus the 5-year estimates of a statistic? For example, it's the ACS versus the CPS.
So right now, we have a process of almost like what's official estimates. So official estimates, when we have those official estimates, we always defer to those surveys. So like CPS is for national poverty, health insurance data. We don't have a CPS available in the site yet, and they need to be in the API and then be able to get in our site. And our focus right now is American FactFinder. So we won't have those yet. So everything then kind of goes to ACS. But yes, we've built in where, especially like in decennial years, at what point do you show decennial census data versus pop estimates
versus, ACS, and it's all based on the year within the decade and also the geography. So some of those things have kind of been built in. It's hard to show right now when we really only have for characteristic data ACS, but those things are built in. Hopefully I got to your question. Okay, great. Thank you.
Any more questions? Well, I think that's it. Kanin, thank you so much for your presentation. And Debbie, I think we're done. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I hope that despite our sound quality problems, which were unfortunately necessary due to the Census firewall, that you could all hear it. You will all get the slides and you'll get the recording. And thank you all for joining us today. I'm going to stop the recording now.